In today's video, we are doing September's horoscope. We are going to be looking at the planetary positions that are happening within the month of September 2025. In this video, we're going to be talking about eclipse season. We are also going to be talking about Saturn retrograding back into Aries. We're going to be talking about Uranus retrograde. We're going to be talking about a Mercury cazimi. So the point of this video is to give you a little bit more in-depth version of each day by day. This is an all sign horoscope, so this applies to all people on planet Earth, and is another tool for you to understand like what is happening in the energy around you. This really is going to go alongside my weekly horoscopes. Every single week I post a horoscope for each of the 12 signs, and those are more specific. Those go into a little bit more like more specific detail for your zodiac sign, what is going on in the skies around you. And this will be a little bit more general for all people, so I'm going to be talking a little bit more generally in this video, but we're going to be going through every single day and every single transit of the month and looking at the energy. So at the beginning of the month, we're going to get started at the beginning of the month on the 1st of September. We have the moon in Sagittarius. And the reason I wrote that down is because the moon is the connection that we all have between the stars and the stars and the earth, right? The moon is considered in astrology the mediator of the energy of the heavens. It really brings the energy to us and is it helps us communicate with the stars. It's like our connection to the stars, right? Because it's the closest of all the planets. And so the position of the moon at the beginning of the month can give us like an overview of the general tone of the month. On the first, having the moon in Sagittarius is very, very optimistic, and I feel like it gives us like a very philosophical tone to the month, or like a tone of like learning, of education, right? Sagittariuses are philosophers. They are people who chase after experiences. And so I just feel like this month will be rich with experiences. And moving into eclipse season, I feel like that's definitely the vibe. And so the first thing I want to say is that the month starts off very, very optimistically. On the 1st of September, we have Saturn retrograding, right? And we have Saturn retrograding from Pisces, where it has been for the past like couple of months, into Aries. And this is a shift. This is like a reminder, right? When Saturn retrogrades back from one sign to another, Saturn moves very, very slowly. And so this retrograde is something that won't happen very, very often. This won't happen again, like for the next like 12 years, I think, or something like that, maybe longer. And so this is a rare event, and this is just a reminder, I feel like, of how far we've come over the past like couple of years. Over the past couple of years in your life, you may have noticed that like you've progressed in some way, or even that you've fallen behind in some way. There could be like either vibe depending on where you stand on like the spectrum, and of course depending on your sign, like where you stand on like the zodiac spectrum, like where your sign is in the zodiac, will determine like if you've like kind of moved backwards or forwards in life. And I feel like right now you're having like a reminder, or on the 1st of September, you'll be having like a reminder of either how far you've come or the opposite, where you've like come from in some way. And this is just an opportunity to see the world. Like this is an opportunity to take a pause and to recognize your growth, or to see maybe areas of your life where you need to be grow, where you would like to grow. This is really showing yourself like a past version of you. This is the time where you're going to see a past version of yourself. On the 2nd of September, we have Mercury moving into Virgo. And so Mercury in Virgo is a very, very good energy. Mercury is at home in Virgo. Virgo is the home of Mercury. And so this is good energy. We have Mercury moving out of a square from Uranus. They're separating, right? Mercury is actually moving into a square, but Uranus is starting to retrograde, like we were just talking about, or like we'll soon be talking about. And so they're kind of separating at this time. Uranus and Mercury are separating, and I just feel like this transit is talking about like unforeseen events happening in your life, or like random events. And so the 2nd is really the beginning of the chaos, that Mercury transit. Mercury represents communication and is another mediator between the stars and us. And so I just see like random communication. I see random conversations putting you in different places in life and helping you to navigate through your life. And so I feel like at this time, don't take things for granted, and maybe read a little deeper into things is kind of the vibe, because there could be like I feel like random situations will be pushing you towards good things. And so just read a little deeper, look a little deeper into things, and see what comes of it. On the 5th, so the next transit that we have on the 5th of September, we have Uranus retrograde happening at a trine to Pluto and a sextile to Saturn. And so I feel like this is a time where you will be releasing outdated solutions or old problems, and you'll be releasing old patterns in your life. When we talk about Uranus, right? Uranus is the innovator. Uranus brings insight, randomness, brings flashes of things that we can't imagine yet to this moment. And so Uranus just represents innovation, right? And I feel like Uranus retrograde is a time where you're going back over your life and you're seeing where you have innovated. You're thinking about the things that you have innovated in your life, and you're seeing how like either the fruits of that, or you're assessing how far you've come. You're reassessing that in some way. And so this year in Uranus retrograde, I feel like is especially transformative because of the trine to Pluto. When we talk about Pluto, right? Pluto is this transformative energy, and so I feel like there will be random things happening in your life that will have like a transformative effect on you under this alignment, and this will be happening to all people. And so when I'm talking about this does not sound like easy energy, if I'm honest. This sounds chaotic, right? And this is a big part of what's happening during the eclipse season this month. And that's why I feel like it's so important to talk about like monthly horoscopes, and to really to look at things from a little bit broader of a scale, to look at things on this kind of a scale from a monthly scale, because we can see like the specifics of how each of these things are going to be interacting with this eclipse, because this eclipse will bring about a lot of random events. And I feel like that's kind of a theme throughout this month, and will be a theme for the next couple of months, is a lot of random things happening, a lot of like random events pushing you into certain directions. And this is just a time where you're having to adapt, you're having to move with the flow of life, right? Uranus recently also changed signs, and so that's a lot of new, a lot of new. That's really the vibe of right now. I feel like in September is a lot of new things. And then what I wrote for the week, that was just the first week's horoscope. And so all of this, what I take is all this information, and then I synthesize it into a 1 minute horoscope for each of the 12 signs, and divide like, and then use your 12 signs to make it more specific. And I post those every single week, and so you can watch that for more specific detail and to follow along with this. I also offer personal readings. I didn't mention that, but I offer personal readings where I for $25 for live readings where we talk about all of the details, like in a lot more detail than this. But where was I going? Oh, but that was just the first week. That was my point. Is that was just the first week. I feel like that first week, despite all of the distractions, despite all of the chaos, you're going to be very, very focused, and you're going to be able to get a lot done. I really feel like the distractions, the chaos in your life will be pushing you in a positive direction, because we have these Pluto transits, because we have these powerful, beneficial Pluto transits. I feel like the randomness in your life will not be in vain. And so it's not randomness for the sake of randomness. It's randomness that brings about change, randomness that brings about ideas, randomness that brings about insight. And so this really gives me Uranus vibes. When we talk about Uranus, when we talk about insights, when we talk about innovation, right? Innovations are things that don't yet exist. And so I feel like that's like you can't imagine what Uranus is bringing. And that's the vibe of Uranus is you can't imagine what will be coming because it hasn't been invented yet. It hasn't been created yet. But once it's been created, it'll be like this is the solution that we always needed. And so I really feel like that is a major vibe during this eclipse. And I just feel like I'm kind of stressing it. And I'm going to move on to the next week. But on the 7th, we have the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. And so a full moon lunar eclipse means that at this time the sun is closely conjunct the north node, or the moon, I guess, could either one could be conjunct the north node, and the other one is conjunct the other. And so this is a time, this represents a time of destiny, right? The north nodes, these karmic points, are considered points of destiny in the chart. And so we have a full moon, right? A full moon is an ending, is a closing of a cycle. It is the climax. That's really the best word. It's not really the best word is not necessarily ending, because it doesn't always signal an ending. It is a climax of a situation. It is the peak. It is when you get to the peak, and then you start to resolve the issue, whether that be like the buildup of a problem, that be the performance, right? That be whatever this full moon be, it is a full moon, right? And that represents a climax of a situation. So some situation in your life, depending on the house of this full moon, will be coming to a climax, right? This is an eclipse, though, which represents a climax that is a part of your karmic destiny. This is a point of change in your life that will be very, very karmic, that will feel very significant, right? And so basically, that's just what an eclipse is. It's a significant period in your life when something changes. That is the best way to describe it. The sun at this time will be in Virgo, which is a very healthy sign, right? Which is all about health, wellness, which is about like nature, the earth, the benefits of the material world, right? We have them both making a positive aspect to Jupiter, which is very, very good because Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, which is where the moon is. I forgot to say that. But the moon is in Pisces, and Jupiter, the ruler of that, is in positive aspect. And so that is what's called mutual. I'm pretty sure this is called no, it's called reception, though. And that just means that the planet that is in control is also in good aspect. They are having good conversations. They're talking, they're getting along well. And so at this time, I would say that this is a beneficial change. I would say that generally in the world, like 90% of people will see this as a beneficial change because we have the ruler of Jupiter in Pisces, which is at its exaltation as well. Very, very, very good energy. And then we have Mercury conjunct the Sun in Virgo at this time. Mercury and Virgo, like I said earlier in this video, is very, very good energy, very positive energy. And so both signs are very, very positively aspected and very strongly aspected as well, I will add. This is not just like somewhat positive. This is pretty positive. This is leaning very, very positive. And so I would say this is a very good eclipse where there could be something ending in your life. There could be something coming to a climax. There could even be like a dramatic situation in some way. But this is a necessary thing that could include some randomness, like I was saying, but will help you move forward. You will seriously see a conclusion because of this eclipse, and this will make it a lot of work in your life. Like you've been contemplating things from your past. You've been seeing this eclipse will help you to it will really illuminate and really help you to see the changes that have been happening in your life in a positive way. And I really feel like that's the message of this eclipse, this full moon is specifically, is that you will see positive changes in your life. You'll be able to reflect. And this will just be a time when you see something closing or you see a door, even a door could be opening that is really positive. The next event is on the 13th of September. We have a Sun and Mercury cazimi. So this is happening right after the eclipse. So you're going to have this major event, right? And then I feel like this event will bring about insights, right? When we talk about Mercury, Mercury is the god of communication and represents our throat chakra. And so what this represents in astrology is your ability to understand, your ability to listen, your ability to receive information, to regurgitate that information, to understand and just comprehend what you are sensing, right? Because Mercury doesn't necessarily relate to the senses. It represents your ability to understand the information that you're bringing in from your senses. The sun, however, is one of the planets that represents your senses, right? The sun connects to the third eye chakra. And in my opinion, the sun really represents it's your energy, right? In order to see something, we have to be awake. In order to feel something, we have to be awake. In order to, you see what I'm saying? We have to have energy. We don't necessarily have to be awake. You have to be alive. You have to have energy. And so that's why a Sun Mercury cazimi represents it's like your senses and your perception of your senses they're in the same area. They're able to communicate. They're together. There's communication between them. And so I just feel like this is a time where you're able to gain insights because of what is happening in your life. You're able to separate yourself from your problems and see them from like a different angle. This is just a time of insight. That's really the best way to put it. It's a time of insight. We move into the next week. So for that week, I wrote opportunity to let go and big insights. So whether you could be letting go at this time, but I feel like it's in a very positive way. The next week. So the first event is Mercury entering Libra on September 18th, creating a grand trine, also a kite. So a grand trine in astrology means that the planets are communicating really, really well. This is a beneficial time where people are getting along. That's what this represents. Things in your life they're getting along. There's usually a focus of a grand trine, specifically of a kite as well. There's a place that it points. And it points, I actually don't know exactly where it points, but we have moving into an exact opposition with Neptune. So Mercury will be moving into an opposition with Neptune. This can represent confusion. Also in opposition with Saturn, which can represent like a little bit of an unrealistic expectation or a little bit of being unrealistic at this time. We are moving into a trine with Uranus, and so, like I said, expect positive randomness and a trine with Pluto. And so, Pluto, Mercury, and Uranus in a trine is to me really representing wisdom, right? And where does wisdom come from? Wisdom comes from difficult situations. And so, I feel like at this time, you are looking at difficult situations in your life and you're seeing the wisdom in them. You are maybe confronting things that you're scared to confront. With Saturn being there, that's telling me that there is difficult work that needs to be done in your life at this time. I just feel like you're confronting it with positivity, you're confronting it with wisdom. And so there's an ability to see past your problems and apply like the problems in your life, apply like a practical solution to them at this time. On the 20th of September, Venus enters Virgo at a square to Uranus with a sextile to Mars. At this time, be aware of your motivations. You could be really passionate at this time as well. Try not to get carried away, maybe solving more problems than there were to begin with. And so I just feel like when Venus enters Virgo, this is a time where you could be trying to fix a lot of things. You could be trying to overexert your energy or just get overboard with trying to do everything. And this happens on the 20th of September. I just feel like you'll be a busybody, and it's like you could overexert yourself at this time. And it's just a time where I feel like you should relish in the wonderful things around you rather than trying to fix them all the time. You know what I mean? Enjoy your surroundings a little bit. Remember to enjoy your surroundings. I'm not saying don't fix your surroundings, but remember to enjoy that time and remember to make it more enjoyable because Venus and Virgo just can be very busy, can be a little stressful. So don't let it be stressful. And then what I wrote for that week is this week seems very high tempo. There could be a lot of things needing your attention. It is a good time to take a step back and think before acting. There may not be a lot of time for this, however, so make sure to make planning a priority. And so make careful deliberation and like make thinking about your problems beforehand a priority. Make it a priority. On the 21st, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo. And so this means that the sun and the moon will both be in Virgo conjunct the north node. And so, what new moons represent in astrology, the moon and the sun come together. This is the beginning of a cycle. This is a new beginning. This is a new opportunity. And then with the North Node being there, this is a karmic destiny point. And so this is a point of new opportunity. This is a point of karmic new opportunity. For everyone in the world, this is a significant time. These happen twice a year, of course. And that's because the energy is always moving, the energy is always changing. And this will be, of course, most significant for Virgos or people that have this happening in their angular houses. And I talk about that in your weekly horoscope. If you want to learn more, of course, you can get a reading with me for $25. It's an hour-long Zoom reading at the link in my bio. But what we're talking about right now is on the 21st, the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo is a new beginning, right? This will be happening at a square to Pluto, a sextile to Venus, in the second house from the moon. And so what I wrote is at this time, this is a good time to work with others on solving problems. Having the sun and the moon, this is a new beginning, right? In the second house from the moon, I feel like solving like a new beginning around your finances at this time is very beneficial, or this is a time when you could make a really good jump in your finances, or like a new beginning may not be a jump, but like you can make an investment at this time. I really feel like the energy is in like planting seeds when we talk about things being in the second house from the moon, right? I feel like this is a place of like planting seeds. This is a time of preparing things. And that really falls in line with the new moon energy is like a preparation for things. We have it happening at a square to Pluto. And so this is a little bit of a disruptive energy. This means that something in your life could be pushing you at this time. And so this could be pushing you into a new beginning. This could be pushing you into a new routine. There could be something that is unfortunate happening in your life in some way. When we talk about Pluto, right? Pluto is not nice. Pluto is not friendly. Pluto is going to make you do it no matter what. And so there's kind of this energy of maybe something at this time could be forcing you, could be encouraging you in a not so friendly way. We have a sextile to Venus though, and so there is a softness. I feel like this goes back to your approach and just having that happiness. And so I just feel like at this time it's a good time to solve financial problems or solve real problems. There is a diplomatic and fair energy around this transit today and for the next few days are today and the next few days are all good for short-term investments, payouts, and working with others. And so, like I said, I was saying like this is a good time too to collect on short-term investments or make like flipper, like think like flipping properties kind of idea, but whatever that means for you. like flipping things. It's a good time to like flip things. I feel like it's a generally like it's a prosperous time. And then moving into the last aspect, we have the sun entering Libra at the beginning of fall. And I feel like this is really representative of a slowing down that we're having. We talk about all these planets that have been going retrograde, right? We have all these bangs coming at us at the end of summer from the eclipse season, and then I feel like this entering of fall really represents the slowing down. We have at the beginning of this, we have a huge kite between an we have the sun opposite Saturn, we have it opposite Neptune, we have it trine Uranus and trine Pluto. And so this it's just as chaotic as it sounds. It's the beginning of fall. I feel like things are going to start slowing down, but first there's this big disruption. And so I feel like the vibe is that things will be making more sense as they go forward and just look for the wisdom in things. Look for a smarter solution to things. That's kind of the main message of this. We walked through like literally each part of this kite week by week, day by day throughout this month, and I just feel like the message really is look for a way above the situation and keep working despite like all things. Like if it's difficult, keep working. You know what I mean? No matter what, just keep putting your best foot forward and the situation will work out the way that you really need it to. That's kind of the vibe. But that is September's horoscope in a nutshell. That is very I think I did a decent job at conveying to you the energy of the new moon, the full moon, and the other planets that are going on at this time. Next month, I'm gonna start doing these every single month, and next month I think my goal is to use the moon's houses a little bit more and get into a little bit more specific on each transit. And so we're gonna keep getting deeper and deeper every time I do these. And I'm just gonna keep practicing my tools, my skills, and honing what I do. But thank you for watching this horoscope video today. I love doing astrology, of course. It's one of my passions, definitely one of my favorite. It's literally probably my favorite thing in the world. And getting to help, getting to explain it to people, having people listen to you talk is a good feeling. And so I appreciate every time somebody watches the video, every time somebody comments, every time somebody says something a lot. And if you buy a personal reading, of course, that's even better because then I get to do literally that's one of my favorite things to do is when I get to show people their life in the stars and really see like their story written out. Like it's very fun. It's a very magical process. So thank you for being a part of that.